This will be our only episode or review of Habit 5, which basically says seek first to understand, then to be understood. Pretty simple, right? But when it comes to relationships, when it comes to conflicts, when it comes to a fight with your siblings or with your mom, it's pretty hard to understand the other person. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, you want to protect your point of view, you want to protect you're right. Like in your perspective, you are right. That's why you are fighting because it's basically, I think, you're fighting because you're trying to prove a point. What you don't know is that the other person is also trying to prove a point. The other person also has in their mind their own perspective, and in their mind, they think they are right. Which usually, when both people think that they are right, there is kind of a conflict because everyone basically egos are just fighting. They are just trying to be right all the time. And this just escalates things pretty quickly. This brings a lot of conflict. I know that anytime that I fight with my mom or with my sister, it's our basically our egos talking, and we don't take time, a little bit of time, to just stop whatever we're doing and listen. Listen without the intent to reply, without the intent of giving advice, without trying to respond. Because in the book, they talked about that. It's so normal for people to just listen in order to react, listen in order to pick up a point that the other person talked about and go against that point. Like, if your sister's telling you, "Oh, remember the time where you didn't do this?" Like, you are so rude or something. You are so mean, or you are such a a lot of names. You're gonna use that word to like beat her, to try to like make a comeback, like to try to get aggressive, to try to like defend your own identity, defend your own ego, defend your own reasoning. It's all about defending, and the other person attacking, defending, attacking, defending, attacking, defending. This will not solve any problem, and I've noticed that like a lot with my sister. Even if we fight and like we forgive each other without solving any problems, in five days after, we're gonna fight about the same topic because we never solved it. We just gave up for that day. We just gave up that day. We were finished. We didn't want to fight anymore, and we decided to like postpone it for 5 days later. So number five, habit number five, pretty simple, pretty hard to do. First, seek first to understand, especially when there's an emotional reaction. When you see that the other person is getting emotional, when that person is getting angry, sad, or there's a big, strong emotion, try to understand their perspective. They may see it differently. If you're playing Uno and you are on a table and the other person's on the other side of the table, and there's a six, you will see a six, but the other person will see a nine. I know that there's a line there, but if you take out away the line, I will see a six. Yeah, I will see a six, and the other person will see a nine. Basically means that we all have different perspectives. We are seeing it from different angles. But if you're trying to understand their angle, their perspective, move the angle, move the focus, try to listen. Listen. But this doesn't mean, and I forgot to mention it in the Spanish one, but this doesn't mean that you should listen to everyone. Because I know that some talks can be pretty like pretty I wouldn't say nonsense, but some talks don't require a lot of your attention. And you will know, like some talks, like when there's like, that's why I said focus on the emotion. If there's a lot of emotion, try to understand that person. If you have a lot of emotion and you're trying to defend your point, try to understand that person instead of trying to prove your point. But not a lot of times. You don't need to try to understand everyone all the time. No, no, no. Just when there's a lot of emotion. And like I said, clarify. Okay, is this right? Am I understanding all your points? And something that Steven talked about, and it's actually pretty formal but pretty professional. Basically, this can be used in an organization, family, anything, but Steven usually takes out a pen and has a whiteboard. Not a pen. Well, he has a whiteboard and he writes down the problem of their clients, of their or of the opposite team, I guess. He writes down the problems and he tries to understand where they're coming from. Like, hey, tell me how you feel, like what's going on. I want to understand you, like clearly understand you, not judge you. I don't want to judge you. I want to like be you for 30 minutes. So he writes them down and basically clarifies, okay, what do you mean by this? Why you don't want to like make business with me? What do you mean by this? Like, try to explain, try to see the perspective of your opponent, of the person that you're having a fight with. Because once you understand the perspective, you're human. You can be like, okay, that makes so much sense. Like, I will understand why you don't trust me. Like, that makes sense. Like, it's valid. I wouldn't trust myself either because of these points. Like, well, don't say that. That makes you sound weak. But basically, try to understand where they're coming from. Try to like see, okay, I finally understand where you're coming from, and I want to clarify my points now. Now I want to be understood, which is the other part of the habit number 5. Now I want to actually explain my point of view without trying to impose anything. Just explain it. Just trying to let you see my perspective, my fears, my insecurities. And this can be taken in a lot of ways by your opponent because you cannot control their reaction. But if you were able to understand them first, they will likely be able to understand you after, to actually listen to you, because you already proved that you care about their problem. You already care about them. You don't want to just spit out your facts or spit out how much you know or trying to prove your point. You are actually trying to understand. You actually know where they're coming from, and they will sense that. People sense that. And in the book it said that people don't care how much you know. People only care if you know. People, wait, how does it go? Okay, it's like people don't care how much you know. People only care if they know that you care. Basically, that people will listen only if you care. People don't know. Maybe people already know the advice. Like, people already know what you're gonna tell them. Like, they know you. If you're fighting with your mom, with your sibling, they already know your response. They already know what you're gonna say. But they won't listen to you because everyone's trying to defend their own egos. Everyone's trying to be right all the time. And it's understandable. You're trying to prove a point. But to be more effective when it comes to conflicts in any kind of organization, people, whatever, it's important to put yourself in other people's shoes, to actually have an open mind, open your eyes, open your perspective, and understand where is someone coming from. Because only then you will be able to see the problem through their own lenses, and that's powerful. That's more power to you because now you're able to give an honest response without a lot of ego, and you can explain your response. So basically that was it. It was pretty quite simple, but a little bit hard to do sometimes. However, if there's a lot of practice and a lot of commitment, and you are also able to understand yourself first, because it always comes back to you, then you're going to be pretty good to go. You're going to be pretty good. And I feel like that's going to help us solve our conflicts with people that we care about. For example, me, my sister, my mom, my dad. But it's mostly my sister and my mom. If I'm able to understand where they're coming from, when I need to understand, not all the time, because my sister sometimes she talks about like her dreams, like not dreams for like to succeed, but like her, like literally her dreams. And I really don't know, I really don't want to understand her dreams. Like, they're kind of really fictional. But you have to decide that your attention is important. Only focus on understanding things that matter to you, not to you, but like the people that matter, the topics that matter. You're gonna know. You're gonna know. But yeah, once you're in a conflict, put other people don't put them first, but listen to them first before you speak. Remember that we have two ears and one mouth for a reason. Maybe that's the reason. That's a hypothesis. Anyways, take care. And before you go, remember to hug yourself. Hug yourself tight, 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 tight. And invest in yourself. It's never, 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 you will never regret investing in yourself. I swear. It feels so good to like actually focus on yourself so you can then focus on other people. Take care and remember to hug that crazy chaos of yours. And I'll see you next week where we will cover habit number 6, synergize, which is pretty related, but it's gonna tie down habit 4, 5, and 6 together. Okay, take care.